Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is 5:30 on a Monday morning. That means it is time for us to pull another toy out of the Random Object Randomogrifier, a random object, if you will. I'm recording. We're going to pull another random object out of the Random Object Randomogrifier, throw it up here on this light stage, and sketch it. So that's what we do at 5:30 in the morning. That's what we do. Dun, dun, dun. Start the camera so the rotation goes on so you can visually see what I do. Sometimes I forget to turn the cameras on. We do this every day at 5:30. Today we have a toy soldier low crawling through the brush there with his rifle. And yesterday when I threw the toy out there, I assumed it was a Korean or Vietnam era soldier. Because he's wearing a steel pot and an olive drab uniform. And I assumed it was an American soldier. And in American soldiers, the olive drab uniforms, the last time we wore those in battle would have been Vietnam. And we switched to Kevlar helmets shortly after that. So I mean, there's some signs there that tell us what era he's from. But upon closer inspection, if you will, I have figured out that he is not a Vietnam era. He is World War II. And once you see the signs, it becomes pretty obvious. I was like, well, of course he's World War II. There's no way he could have been anything but World War II. He is, for instance, it's either a 1903 Springfield that he's carrying there, or it's an M1. There's no indication of a handle for an M16. There's no indication for a cartridge for a magazine attachment, so it looks like it's just a bolt-action rifle. And if it's just a bolt-action rifle, that limits us to World War I or World War II. But the dead giveaway is the spats. You may not be able to see the spats, but he's wearing spats. Spats are those. They're like a corset for your bootlaces. But that's the dead giveaway. If I had noticed the spats yesterday, I would have immediately said, there's no way this is Vietnam or Korea. World War II was the last time U.S. soldiers were issued spats. Plus, he is wearing a steel pot. And it's the M1 style steel pot, not the Brody style steel pot. Brody style steel pot is the one with the lip all the way around. Like the Flash. If you're comic book people, the Flash, original Flash, used to wear a Brody style hat. A Brody style cap. So again, there's some pretty obvious indications that this is World War II. I just did big shapes for the composition. Lets me get right into some of the details. I needed the composition especially this time because there's a lot of little details here. I want to make sure I get where they go. Sometimes it sounds like I'm talking to you guys and I'm trying to teach you guys, and it's not at all what's going on. I'm reminding myself what I'm doing. You ever talk out loud and say, and now I'm going to put this right here. There's nobody in the room, but I've got you guys as my art besties. So I'm not really alone. But I need the reminder of why I'm doing stuff so I don't forget to do it. I looked at his little gun, the barrel of his gun being all bent up. And then when I went online to look at toy soldiers and the history of toy soldiers, I noticed that all of the plastic toy soldiers, the guns are bent like that. Because there's no real way to package them without it. So this is where it's important to draw what you see and not what you expect to see. I don't want people thinking that there was a real soldier posing for me. But there's one screen isn't changing. Oh, she said, oh, okay, it's changing. I'm late. I wasn't paying attention. But there's one major indication for the era that this soldier is that may not occur to many people. Let me finish putting in these little details right here. I'm just right here at the end of this part of it. We'll switch to ink. Talk about that. Get a little swig of the coffee. Coffee. So the really interesting thing about this, to me, the thing that really picked up on it for me, was his pose, right? He's low crawling. That provides us some challenges here because we've got some perspective that we have to deal with. How do you make it look like he's low crawling and not just laying flat on his face? How do you make it look like he's coming towards you and not just in a big heap in a ball in front of you? So that it provides us some challenges to focus on. And I like those kinds of challenges. I think that's part of the fun. But the fact that he's low crawling speaks volumes about when this pose occurred. Because you wouldn't need to low crawl prior to World War I. Other than very specific instances where you were sneaking. Low crawling is something that didn't become important until the advent of high capacity small arms fighters. no reason to low crawl in a cannon field. You need to be able to move away from the cannons as quickly as possible. There's no reason to low crawl on long rifles, because once they fire, you know, it's several seconds before they can fire again, because they have to reload. And that was the bolt action rifles of World War I. Was that the 1903? Yeah, the 1903 Springfield or the Enfield. Either the Springfield or the Enfield. Both of them were bolt action, single shot, and so there was no repetitive fire, just a volley of fire, a bunch of people shooting at you. But by World War II, rapid fire, small arms fire was an issue, and soldiers had to start training on how to avoid it all around the world. And the first toy soldiers that were low crawling were made in 1930. And the Army didn't codify, excuse me, the Army didn't codify low crawling until 1946. It didn't get codified into training until 1946. Hi, Elizabeth. So the fact that he's low crawling, wearing a steel pot, carrying probably a 1903 Springfield, puts him squarely in World War II. Because even though the M1s were issued by World War II, they still had a surplus of 1903s, and many regiments were still issued 1903s. That is more than I ever wanted to know about this kind of stuff, but I somehow feel better for knowing it. I mean, it's like it never occurred to me. This is the kind of stuff that I never would have thought about. I would see a low crawling soldier, Army toy soldier, but honestly, prior to the 1900s, they almost all stood up. They were all standing up, or they were all kneeling for cannons, or they were all archers, but they were almost always in a upright position. And it wasn't until the 1900s that they moved into the prone position. Oh, we need to erase that first. It wasn't until the 1900s that they moved into the prone position, that they started making them in the prone position, because you couldn't fire a long rifle and reload it from the prone position. So it wasn't common. It wasn't common. It wasn't a common scene, and so they didn't make toys showing it. I mean, I'm sure there were people who could do that, but I bet the vast majority of people didn't have that kind of skill, didn't have that skill set. Well, these watercolors soak that spritz right up. I'm gonna have to refill the navy blue over here. These are koi watercolors. This little set is a koi watercolor set, and I found a set of koi watercolor tubes that perfectly matches this toy watercolor paint tubes that perfectly matches this palette, and so I can refill it at will. Is that music too loud? It seems loud to me this morning. I know I'm just now asking. I've been pretty excited about telling you what I discovered about the Army helmets and the soldiers and the position, and being able to tell you what war this is from, what era this is from. It's not necessarily war, it could just be training. The music is just a tad too loud because your voice is a bit muffled too. Let's fix that. Tell me if that helps at all. I'm shocked that my voice is muffled. Tell me if that's any better. I'm still trying to deal with the microphone setup. If I use the camera mics, it picks up every sound in the room, including the fan. If I use the snowball, I may have to get a new snowball. If I use the snowball mic, it muffles everything. I may just have to get a new snowball mic to see if that solves the problem. But I have been struggling with mics lately. Yeah, I thought the music was loud in here, but it didn't look like it was too loud on the system until just then. So if there's something wrong like that, you guys don't even hesitate to speak up. I'm happy to fix it. I want this to be a pleasant experience so that we can all the sound is like you're talking into something, not really clear like you're sitting right next to me. Huh. I wonder what changed. I'll have to figure that out. But yeah, like I said, if you guys have any struggles like that, don't hesitate to let me know. I'm happy to start looking into it. All right, so where are we? It is 5:50 already. I can tell you that when I was in the Army, low crawling training was probably the highlight of my experience in basic training. And I can tell you the reasons because one, the obstacle course was fun. And they went to the obstacle course 4 times, but I only got to go twice. And I wonder if that's because I was National Guard, if the state limited the number of times I could be involved. It's not really close to my mouth, but maybe. I wonder if that's because the state pays for the National Guard, and I wonder if the state tells the Army limits the number of times that I can go through the program so that I don't get hurt. So I don't know if that was the case or not, but they got to go through the obstacle course 4 times. I only got to go through the obstacle course twice. But it was the highlight of my training because it was fun and because I went through training in summer. And summertime, I went to Fort Sill. Summertime on Fort Sill can be quite challenging. And it was hot. And low crawling through the mud in the pit, the first time we did it was a miserable experience, but by the time we got to the end, it was something we were all looking forward to because it was the only reprieve from the heat. All right, let me dry this real quick so we can ink it. Watching paint dry is, of course, the most exciting part of this program. I think the deal with the microphone is because it's on a strap. Here, I'll show you. Because it's on this strap, it moves, and sometimes it points away from me. It's very directional. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to do this because when I clip it to my shirt, I end up taking it to work. Oh, the distortion now is the noise cancellation. And that may have been what you heard before. Yeah, the distortion that you hear right there is noise cancellation. And that may have been what you heard before. It was probably the music was too loud in studio and was probably trying to cancel out the music. So I'm hoping to get all this stuff worked out early. I mean, I know we're already, 85 days into this program, and we've been doing it for a while. But seriously, there's a whole lot of stuff still. There's a whole lot of changes still going on every day while I try to figure out how to make this pleasant for everybody involved. How to keep it sustainable, and how to make it pleasant for everybody involved, especially my friends watching on the other side of the planet. Because if the sound is bad, it's almost impossible to pay attention, to want to pay attention if the sound is bad. And I don't want that for you at all. I want you to enjoy it. But yeah, low crawling was the highlight of training because we got to get into the cool mud in August. They hosed it down with cold hose water. They brought the trucks in, the water trucks in, and hosed down the whole field to make sure that we were training in mud. And in August, July and August in Oklahoma, we understood why pigs were always so happy. But I think we pretty much captured that one. What is today? Today is the 23rd. I forgot to reinforce this. 23rd of June 2025. My wife left me yesterday. She took my son with her. So she just left me and girl 2 to fend for ourselves. We've been starving. There's no food in the house. There's only stuff to make food. Today's the first day. We'll see how we get by. But it's day 1 of just me and the little girl. So guys, let's see. Let's change to the camera. Make sure we are on the right camera so we can see. Stop this nonsense. We'll look at this so you can see my illustration next to the... My view is actually a little different than that photograph. That photograph is taken from a little different perspective than mine. So let's stop the recording up here and eject the camera, and then I can show you guys what I see. I can put it up there and you can see it from my perspective. Yeah, and then from Fort Sill I went to Iraq where there's no mud anywhere. And then really, you know what's funny about that is when we went to Iraq, they had the longest rain they've ever had in 100 years. So we brought rain with us. So there it is from my perspective. Wait, that's dim. Why is that so dim? There we go. There it is from my perspective. But all right, guys. Let's see what we're going to do tomorrow, Tuesday, the 24th. Girl 2 has already pulled the random object from the randomogrifier. I think she staged these. I think she went through them and said this one would be good for Tuesday because you have meetings on Tuesday, because it's a sack of flour. It's a flour sack from a pirate ship or from some kind of navy, some kind of vessel. There's a little sack. That should go well tomorrow. So if you're watching this before 5:30 in the morning on the 24th, well, we're finna do this. So just stick around and tune in. But while I'm recording this, it is Monday morning and it is 6 o'clock and I have to go to work. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. You know, I look forward to it every day. This is how I keep my accountability, by arting with my besties. You guys have a fantastic day and be sure and tune in tomorrow. Same Artistic Biker time, same Artistic Biker channel. And we dance. We dance till somebody says they see me dancing, and that way I know that I can stop the stream without worrying about cutting off mid-sentence, because I want to make sure that the lag is caught up.